Okay, so we have seen how a DC to DC boost converter operates, right? Uh, we have seen one of its limitation also, and that is that it cannot be used to provide a very large gain, as we have seen in the previous video, because of the non-idealities, right? Because of the resistances present, because of the losses happening at different components, right? The output voltage is limited because of those factors, right? So after a certain point, the output voltage actually starts decreasing as we continue to increase the duty cycle. Now, the next step is that if you remember, what was the motivation for us to move to these switching converters, right? So obviously earlier we were using linear regulators, right? The one of the biggest problem with linear regulator was very poor efficiency, right? As the input voltage would change, as load would change, and so on. There is a continuously lot of loss happening in the linear regulator. So that was the motivation of moving to the switching converters. So now what we do in this video is that even in switching converters, we would just try to understand a little bit about efficiency, right? Mainly we want to understand how the efficiency changes with the duty cycle. This is a very basic understanding of efficiency based on an approximate model. A more detailed calculation of efficiency, a more detailed explanation of different losses happening in the converter and so on, we might take it up at a advanced stage. But at this level, using the basic principles what we have seen till now, let's try to find how the efficiency would change with duty cycle. So let me draw boost converter. Now, ideal boost converter obviously would have 100% efficiency because there is no loss anywhere in any of the component. So I would consider the small resistance in series inductor as one of the non-ideality in this circuit. There are obviously other non-idealities which I am neglecting at this point for simplified calculations. Right? So you have load resistance, you have a series inductor resistance, which actually signifies the losses happening. There's an inductor, there's switch S1, there's switch S2. This is input voltage and this is output voltage, right? So now if you see in this converter, the component which is actually having losses is this part, right? This signifies the loss happening, and this part, whatever is power dissipating in this resistance, signifies the or implies the output power, right? Because that is the load resistance. So that is the power we are delivering to the load. This is the power we are dissipating within the converter. So we can write efficiency as output power upon input power, right, as a fraction, or you can multiply it with 100 and express in terms of percentage, right? You can rewrite it as output power upon output power plus loss that is happening within the circuit, which is equal to, what is the output power? Output power is a load average current square resistance upon what is the uh, uh, what is the input, what is output power again? I load square R plus I inductor square R. This represents the losses happening in the inductor. Now, before moving ahead, let me tell you there is one approximation that we have taken while coming from equation 1 to equation 2. The loss in a resistor is equal to the RMS current flowing in the resistance squared the resistance value, right? We have not talked about RMS current till now, but we would do it in later part of this course when we would start talking about AC circuits. But if you see, power loss in a resistance is RMS current square R n is not equal to the average current squared R, unless obviously if average is equal to RMS, right? Other than that, this is not the correct definition, this is the correct definition. But as you understand that if it is a DC current, right? If it is a DC current, then both values would be equal. Similarly, if it is a very low ripple current, right? So that means it is not pure DC, but it has a very small amount of ripple. Still, you can approximate RMS current to be almost equal to the average current. And that is precisely what we are doing here. If see inductor, if we are considering good amount of inductance value, then the ripple in the inductor is going to be very small, and therefore we are approximating the RMS current in the inductor equal to the average current in the inductor. And therefore we have written the inductor losses as IL square R, right, where IL is the average current. Similarly, the load, since the output voltage has negligible ripple, the load current, which is output voltage divided by the resistance, would also have negligible ripple, and therefore the average load current would be almost equal to the RMS load current. Therefore, we can write these other two expressions also. Right. Okay, so with this approximation, we have the expression for eta efficiency, right? Eta is our efficiency. I can now I have two expression, I load and IL. I can, using the circuit, I understand that switch S1 closes for D duration, switch S2 closes for 1 minus D duration. So I can write the at I inductor into 1 minus D is nothing but the average current of the switch S2 over a period Ts, which is nothing but the average load current. Therefore, I can rewrite IL as I load upon 1 minus D. Right? This kind of things we have been doing in a few of the previous lectures also. So in case you are unable to understand how could I directly write this equation, have a look at some of the previous video lectures. So I'll substitute the value of IL in efficiency eta. So I can write eta is equal to I load square capital R upon I load square capital R plus I load square small r upon 1 minus d square I. I load square would cancel out, and what I would get is efficiency is equal to R on upon capital R plus small r upon 1 minus d square, right? This is the approximate expression for efficiency that we have got. Let's try to get some observations from this expression. One of the observation you can see is that as you increase the value of duty cycle, right? So as duty cycle increases, 1 minus d reduces, right? R upon 1 minus d square increases, and therefore the efficiency total expression also reduces. So therefore, as d increases, your efficiency reduces. In fact, you can see that as d would tend to 1, your eta would tend to, d tends to 1, 1 minus 1, 0, 1 upon 0, infinity, eta would tend to 0. Right, so efficiency would become really poor as you keep on increasing the duty cycle. Obviously, in usual scenario, if you would operate D in the usual range, right, which is less than max, your efficiency might not be very poor. It might be somewhere between 80%, 90%, 95%, and so on. Right, I'm just giving you some typical values. So it's not, I mean, this condition practically never happens, right? But it's just to show you that what is the worst case scenario possible. Therefore, one thing you can see is as we try to boost by a large gain. What does it mean? We mean that VO by V in we want to make it large, right? Which implies how can we do it? We only be able to do it by increasing the duty cycle. Why? Because it's a boost converter. VO by V in is 1 upon for CCM. VO by V in is 1 upon 1 minus D. So if you want to increase the gain, you have to increase the duty cycle, right? So if duty cycle increases, efficiency reduces. So if you want to have a large gain, your efficiency is going to be poor. If you want gain of 2 versus if you want gain of 4, right? In gain of 2, generally you can get better efficiency than in gain of 4, right? So that is a general idea. So therefore, even though as we have seen that boost converter can boost voltage, because of these losses it cannot boost more than a certain value, maybe 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times, right? Moreover, you would not prefer to really boost the value by such a large extent, because you understand now that the efficiency is going to be poor and poor as you keep on increasing the gain ratio or the output boost voltage, right? Okay, with this we would stop this particular discussion.